Hello, and welcome to Healthcare Matters, the internet television program that explores the intersection of medicine and the law. I'm your host, Mike Matre, editor of the Medical Liability Monitor. Earlier this year, the U.S. House of Representatives voted 218 to 210 in favor of House Resolution 1215, the Protecting Access to Care Act, which would create a $250,000 non-economic damage cap in medical liability lawsuits, among other provisions that would preempt state laws in the areas of statutes of limitation, joint and several liability, product liability, and attorney contingency fees. Today's guest on Healthcare Matters is Congressman Steve King of Iowa, the author of the Protecting Access to Care Act, and he's here to discuss his bill and its future. Welcome to Healthcare Matters, Congressman King.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks a lot for having me on, Mike.
First, I'd like to congratulate you on the passage of the Protecting Access to Care Act. I watched you defend the bill during debate on C-SPAN, and you're very knowledgeable about medical liability issues for somebody without a healthcare or legal background. How did you get interested in medical liability reform?
Well, I've been a businessman for all of my adult life, and we're 42 years into the construction business and deal with the liability issues that are tied with construction. And your professional reputation is on the line, and there are people that think you paid the premium, so you don't care if there is a claim that's paid out unjustly. And those things have always rankled me, that a claim that wasn't a legitimate claim that tied me up through litigation and slowed me down on things I wanted to do that were productive and profit-oriented to defend myself from unjust charges.
Medical liability claims frequency is at an all-time low, and medical malpractice insurance premiums have been decreasing or flat for more than a decade. Much of this is attributable to the state-level tort reform success to date. Why does the United States need federal-level medical liability tort reform at this moment in time?
Well, it's because there are a good number of states that don't have that reform, and Iowa has just passed some reform that is fairly close to that, which was pioneered in California 40 years ago, signed by then Governor Jerry Brown. They liked it so well out there that they didn't seek to, or didn't successfully at least, repeal it. And Texas followed that model, and we've seen the premiums go down. So to be able to provide that kind of opportunity for everybody in this country to be relieved from that kind of liability cases, it's a big step in the right direction. I think there's more that we need to do, but I'd sure like it if we can get my bill passed through the Senate, and the President has already said he would sign it.
Last year, conservatives blocked in committee the Help Efficient, Accessible, Low-Cost, Timely Health Care Act, a bill very similar to yours with a $250,000 non-economic damage cap, because they felt it violated states' rights and the concept of federalism. Why didn't your bill receive the same reception?
Well, it helped, I think, that it's me that was carrying it, but the bigger part was that we went through it and tweaked it as many ways as we could see that would let the states have as much say as possible. And even the cap, if the state passes a different cap on the non-economic damages, then that is the cap for their state. So if they want to raise or lower the cap within the state, they can do so. And that gives more states' rights than was in the previous bill.
At the time of this interview, the Republican plan to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act isn't guaranteed. If that fails, do you think your legislation could move forward independent of larger reforms to the healthcare delivery system?
It does operate independently, whether or not Obamacare is law, if Obamacare were completely repealed, or if it's left to stand in place. My legislation stands alone and is effective in either case.
Obviously, the Senate works differently than the House, and your bill will require 60 votes for cloture. What do you think the chances of getting your legislation to the President's desk are?
It's a difficult task, and it's awfully hard to handicap that, given that the Senate's in the throes of trying to find something that they can get 50 votes for in the Senate right now. But I don't know. The President might wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and just send out a tweet that says, "I want King's bill on my desk," and good things could happen.
Congressman King, thank you for coming on Healthcare Matters.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Mike. I really appreciate it.
in-depth reporting on the medical professional liability and risk management industries, please consider subscribing to Medical Liability Monitor, a monthly newsletter that delivers the latest information on medical professional liability insurance premium rates and trends, tort reform, significant jury verdicts, and what's happening with professional liability insurers across the nation.